everyone, this is Dawn, and in this video I'd like to just run through a few techniques that are really indispensable for working with Microsoft Word. Most of them are going to come up in this tutorial anyway, and then I have another one that's coming up in tutorial 2 that I'm going to address here, but there's no reason why we can't get started right away. I think a lot of beginning Word users can get frustrated when things don't line up the way they want them to, or things don't look the way they want them to. So the sooner you know about these techniques, I think the better off you are, and the easier it'll be in the long run. So basically this is just a simple document. I have some bibliographic information at the top, and we're going to manipulate that using what we call a hanging indent. And then I just have some paragraphs here to describe the book. The book in question. So looking at this, this is typical bibliographic information in the MLA style. Not that I care that you know about that, although it will be discussed in the next chapter. But basically, this needs what we call a hanging indent, where this guy, the second line here, would be indented. You see that a lot with bibliographies. So basically, I want to draw your attention to this, the ruler toolbar up here, especially this little guy, which kind of looks like an hourglass sitting on a box. In fact, I took a screenshot of him so we can see it a little more clearly, and I'll just kind of zoom in on that. Here's a tip. If you hold down your control key, and then you can use your mouse scroll button, the little scroll wheel on your mouse, you can go in and out, zoom in and out of really a lot of windows, certainly a Word document and other things too if you're working on the computer. I think that'll even work on your desktop to magnify your desktop. Okay, so anyway, this guy, you have your little hourglass sitting on a block, and this shape is three pieces, is it not? You have the top of the hourglass, you have the bottom of the hourglass, and then you have the box that it's sitting on. So basically, and by the way, if you don't see your ruler at the top, go to your View tab and check ruler. You see that's a toggle. Either it's showing or it's not. So if you're missing the ruler, go to View and hit your ruler. Okay. So anyway, looking at this little piece here, I'm going to get my cursor in the paragraph in question, and I said we're going to apply a hanging indent. So to apply the hanging indent, you're going to point to the bottom of the hourglass and then slide it over. Maybe I'll do like a ½ inch, I'm not sure what the official word is on MLA, but we'll make it a ½ inch. So you see, by grabbing the bottom of the hourglass and then sliding it in, that makes it what we call a hanging indent. So you can contrast that with what we would call a first line indent, which is like a typical paragraph indent where just the first line is indented. You grab the top of the hourglass and slide it in that way. Okay? I'm going to slide it back. And then lastly, this is, I guess it's called a left indent. You grab the bottom of the whole structure here, the whole shape, and slide it in. It moves the whole thing. Okay? So like I said, this deserves a hanging indent because it's a bibliography entry. So I'm going to slide that in, and there you go. Okay? Now, looking at these paragraphs, well, this guy, for example, this is a typical paragraph. Why don't I give it a first line indent? Maybe I'll do that for all three. Okay, maybe just a ½ inch. And then, one thing I want to mention here is line spacing, and this is going to come up certainly sooner rather than later, but now I'm on the Home tab, and you have a lot of tools here that you can use to manipulate the line spacing and the alignment and so forth. We'll talk about all those, but here, okay, so apparently this text I just copied off of the internet somewhere, but apparently this is a 1.5, or I'm sorry, 1.15 line spacing, so a little more than single spaced. And you can see that, and my cursor is just in this paragraph. So this is the paragraph in question. You don't have to select the whole paragraph to manipulate it. You can just have the cursor in the paragraph, or you can select it. It certainly doesn't hurt anything. But you can see the single space is actually, it looks a little bit tight. Okay, so the 1.15 is probably a little more legible. But one thing I want you to become familiar with, especially those of you who are interested in sitting for the MOS at the end of the semester, the Microsoft Office Specialist exam, you should become very familiar with this. I'm going to get into the second paragraph, this window here. And a lot of this you can do on the tools anyway, but here, I'm going to get through here. Add space before, remove space before. Well, you can do a little there, but you can't get quite as specific. But I'm right here, I'm hitting this button, or this little, I don't know what I would call that, but like an arrow, it'll expand the paragraph settings. And this window I want you to become familiar with, but like I said, if you're going to be taking the MOS, you'll find yourself in this window a lot, manipulating paragraphs. But basically, okay, so it's the middle paragraph in question here, but if I add space before, like maybe 20 points, okay, watch what happens. I click OK. And so I get some space above the paragraph, all right? And then, you know, same thing, you can add space after, say, 20 points. Okay, and then see the other paragraph was pushed down a little bit because I have some space after, right? So that's one way you can manipulate spacing. If it's not necessarily line spacing, but you want a little bit of something, you know, a little space before or after a paragraph, that's how you would do it, all right? And then one last thing in this video, I want to insert a picture. So I'm going to go here, go to Insert and Pictures, and like I said, you'll do all this in your tutorial, but okay, so I've added the picture of the book. All right, I'm going to get it smaller here, just sizing it like I would size a window in Windows. And get it down. I thought I had made this a lot smaller. Oh. Okay, did you see that, the way it flipped? You can just imagine like taking a piece of paper, grabbing it by the one side and flipping it around. You can flip a picture like that. I don't know if that technique is in this chapter, but that's a good one to know if you need to invert a picture. Okay, so anyway, there's my picture. Now here's the thing. Pictures can be very frustrating if you don't know how to manipulate them. Let's say, oh, you know what, I didn't want to put that there, I wanted to put it somewhere else. And now I'm like trying to drag and drop the picture around. It's being very stubborn. It's not really responding to my mouse movements. What you do, okay, and this is an excellent tip that you should always remember. You make sure your picture is selected, you go to Format across the top, and then when it says Wrap Text, you see Wrap Text, pull that down and choose Through, okay? There are other ones that are similar that you can fiddle with and play around with, but I like Through, and what that does is, you see now I'm able to drag and drop my picture around, okay? So if I want it down here or near the text, in the middle, smack in the middle of the text, obviously that doesn't look good, but you get the point though. You have to choose that wrap text and choose one of these options before you can start moving your picture around. Otherwise, it's just not gonna work. And then let's see. I think maybe I'll get rid of this first line indent here and just get it right up against the picture here. All right, and then let's see. Where was I? Oh, your picture has to be selected in order for you to have that Format tab. Okay. So anyway, getting back to where I was. You can experiment with these. See, square will be right up against the text. Tight will be a little closer. Square is right up against the picture. Tight is a little closer to the picture. And you know, top and bottom kind of, you know, makes it to where the text is not going to be even with the picture. Behind text, in front of text. Okay, you see what I mean? So you have options there. But it's that Wrap Text button. As soon as you plop a picture into your Word document, you're going to want to go here so you have more control over what you're doing with it.